morning to you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Eva. Good afternoon. How much excitement.
I'm talking to people all over the world. I never know whether it's morning, afternoon, or night. We're not an hour different, are we? We're the same time, aren't we, in Jersey?
We are at the same time. Yes, we are. Yeah. Although I think we've got the rain today here in Jersey.
We've got the sunshine.
Oh, it must be summer in England then.
Just for today. Just
for today. So, Jennie, what a week we've had. Gosh, I can't believe this week how quick it's been.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
It was mad, wasn't it?
I'm a little sad. I've really enjoyed doing these, and to know it's the grand finale now. I'm just going to put comments on, see if we've got anybody watching. Oh, we do have somebody watching. We have 2 people watching. Come on, leave us some comments.
Hello, right. Good afternoon. So I have some questions for you today. I'd like you to, we've been talking about NLP, we've been talking about techniques the whole week. Today I would like to know a little bit about you. Who is Jennie? And actually,
when you said it was a surprise, I didn't know it'd be a surprise. I wondered why I hadn't had anything from you to prepare.
I'd like to understand, what is really what does NLP bring to people? What is like the, what do people feel, or how do they live by, learning some of those techniques that, we've talked about all week?
Well, I know, of course, we could talk about NLP in the workplace. We could talk about the usefulness of it in business strategies. Mm-hmm. We could talk about it in a therapeutic sense for those hypnotherapists, psychologists, mental health professionals who I know through experience it's helped enormously with, because we keep in touch with everybody we've trained, don't we? People think that's quite strange. I don't. Once we've trained somebody, they seem to be so transformed, so moved by those techniques, because we throw in a bit of quantum physics, we throw in a bit of Louise Hay, we throw in a bit of this and a bit of that to make it as interesting as possible, because NLP is really a framework on which you can pin lots of other things. So I would say, now that you've put me on the spot, NLP, really, neuro-linguistic programming, how we talk to ourselves, the neurons that fire off through language and behaviour. I'd say it's most useful in a personal sense. And as we've said before, all these great entrepreneurs, it's always about yourself, your world, then your business. And I think it's really about, I'm going to get a bit woo-woo with you, about self-actualization, becoming the best you can be. Because really, Claire, everything that's wrong in the world and in relationships is usually about misunderstandings. So we can say NLP is about understanding each other more, communication, not only in the workplace, in business meetings, but within couples, and how we speak to our teenagers, as we've discussed before.
How we speak to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
As we spoke before as well.
Yeah, there's this conflict of consciousness, not just with us and our relationships, but within us and ourselves, as we explored yesterday. And what does everybody say, excuse me now, everybody say in those films and in real life when you hear your loved ones, your children or your friends talking about arguments they've had with their spouses, their intimate partners, they'll say, he doesn't understand me, or she doesn't understand me. It's all about misunderstanding. And in that communication comes misunderstandings, because we all perceive the world somewhat differently. So it's resolving those misunderstandings for me.
And so, we want to help people to feel better in themselves, so they feel better with others, and they feel better in the world, and they feel good in their business as well. So that's kind of that's super, really. It's like kind of a really good aim, isn't it? That's what everybody wants to strive to do, really, isn't it? And so at the moment there are, well, not at the moment just now, but there's always that kind of conflict between how we feel and how we behave, and how we talk to ourselves, like you said. How did you get about to actually find out about NLP? Because obviously you've been working in quite a few different industries before you got to really kind of your calling. How did you bump into it, and what was the research that you made to actually start practicing yourself?
Wow. If you really want to know,
got an hour. Can I just remind you? Hot timings.
Well, I was in the law profession, and I was teaching lots of kind of highbrow courses to professionals, and it got to a point where I suppose I was a little bit bored. I'd chosen, as you know, because I put myself through those logical levels, I'd chosen not to go the route of qualifying as a solicitor in its proper sense. So I'd got my law degree, I was in the right environment, and I began to realise that, excuse me, my legal friends, I didn't actually want to become a very busy, very successful lawyer. I didn't like the lifestyle. I had lots of friends who had lots of money and no time to spend it. They were often working very late at night, very stressful lives, and their intimate relationships weren't always that good. They were never home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the life that I wanted. And so I became a trainer. And I was a corporate trainer in one firm and then another, and I went self-employed so that I could work in a variety of environments. So I worked at it was called the Office of the Supervision of Solicitors. It's now the Solicitors Regulation Authority. I was working in the Office of the Rail Regulator, KPMG, GKN, Warsaw Housing Group, lots of different clients, mm-hmm. and lots of very complex information, and I became somewhat expert, blowing my own trumpet for a while, somewhat expert in presenting very complex information in a simple way. And I became known for this and very much in demand. However, in one of my contracts down in London, this girl kept going on about NLP. And to be honest with you, I was a little bit tired of hearing about it. How wonderful it was, it can fix everything. Oh, that's NLP, she'd say when I was talking about something. Anything that I mentioned, she was so full of this idea that anything that I mentioned, she'd say, oh, that's NLP, logical level. Oh, that's NLP, submodality processing. Oh, so for goodness sake, we do this already. And I began to realise from what she was saying and others, yes, we do this already. This is life. NLP is a framework of behavioural techniques and how our mind works and how we can improve community. We all know this. However, that framework really brings logic to our complex senses and our sensory information. Anyway, I began to realise that if I'm to remain marketable in this industry, this is something that I need the certificate for. So I went to the closest and fastest course I could find. My child was still a baby at the time, so I didn't want to stay too far away from home. Even though I went to London every day, I didn't want to take 2 weeks out and whatever. So I found the course closest to me where I didn't have to stay overnight. And I'll be honest with you, Claire, I wanted the certificate. I wanted to be known as somebody that knew these techniques because I already knew them. You can't train thousands of people. When I add it up, oh goodness, thousands of people with sometimes information that they don't want to learn. So presenting it in a style that makes it interesting for them and easy to assimilate. You can't do that without knowing NLP, though I didn't have the certificate. So I went to get the certificate and the course had hypnosis in there. I didn't want any of that stuff, you know.
No.
Hypnosis, what's that got to do with the working world? And very soon, as you know, I was completely enamored with how our mind works and how we affect each other. And so after 2 weeks, just 2 weeks of being on this course, I changed my profession overnight. I thought, I have to do this. This is so compelling and so effective. Everybody needs to know how to do this.
Yeah.
And so I straight away became an NLP trainer and a hypnotherapy trainer. And it's been the best job in the world for me. It really is. And I still see the world now through NLP eyes.
Well, and then you see the results as well. Some of your customers and clients really who've been with you and perhaps have been really having some really hard, difficult challenges, and then suddenly they're flourishing and they're, top of what they, their career, and they're just, it's really rewarding when that happens, isn't it? When you see somebody who was struggling with something and actually becoming like a butterfly, they've just really transformed into that amazing butterfly, isn't it?
What amazes me, Claire, is that NLP adage that people already have all the resources they need. You see, I'm quite a curious person, and when I was presented with these NLP presuppositions, I'd do something like, really? Prove it to me? Let me prove it to myself. As you know, I'm the kind of character that, yeah, I'll listen to you, I'll take it on board, but until I do it for myself, then I'm not going to believe it. Life experience teaches. You can, as I know as a trainer, present things in a wonderful manner that you think are totally absorbing and life transforming, etc. But until the person does it for themselves. And what amazed me is that within an hour, I could suddenly stop somebody smoking a cigarette who'd been smoking for 40 years. Within an hour, somebody that had an addiction to, well, just about anything, whether it was cream cakes or chocolate. I'm known for that, aren't I?
Cotton wool. I remember a story of cotton wool.
Oh, cotton wool. And people eat stuff that's not even supposed to be eaten, and they have a compulsion. I was amazed at human behaviour in its broadest sense, but I was equally amazed that if you just sit down with somebody who is willing and wanting these things to be addressed, knowing that these behaviours are often deep within the unconscious mind, you don't need to go to therapy for years to have things uncovered from childhood. There's a place for that, yes. But quite often these things are quite mechanical. These things are quite stress related. And what have we got at the moment? What have we got mostly in the world? I know the world's changing from time to time, and you might be watching this video in years to come where things have calmed down in the sense. Let's hope that that's the case. Let's hope you're watching this saying, I don't know what she's going on about. We live in a wonderful world.
Maybe we would have redone the video by then.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah. Well, it's the world we're living in at the moment, Claire, is magnifying relationships. It's magnifying loneliness. If we live alone, yes, we live alone, hey ho, hey ho. Though without as much contact from others, the person who lives on their own could be thinking, yeah, I've got friends, I've got acquaintances, etc., and I see less of them, and I see them this way, etc. Though I know that the restrictions have lifted somewhat, so then comes in that little voice in the head sometimes that says, well, if they loved me, they'd visit me more. If they love me, they've got all this time on their hands. Why don't they contact me? And then we've got the people who are in the fraught relationships, which the present situation has magnified as well, that has brought stress into the family dynamics because of the intensity of the proximity. And so that's magnified too. Everything's been magnified at the moment. So stuff that we would have talked about in a kind of therapeutic situation is now everywhere. You know, people not getting on with each other, people misunderstanding another person's point of view. And as you said yesterday, even hearing the thoughts in your own head and sometimes being unable to change those. Everything about this NLP stuff is really more vital to know than ever before, in my opinion. Yeah.
Because it is, I mean, the big thing is about the communication in NLP. So learning the communications, learning about emotions, learning how that self-awareness, like you said, learning how to deal with people as well. And, you know, a lot of the time there's conflicts, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. But the conflicts, again, comes back to communications, isn't it? And, you know, all those limited beliefs, those are words in our heads. Those are the monkey words. All those things, when you really start picking them up, they all come back to the same link, don't they?
Well, we sometimes are at the mercy of our environment. We could be at the mercy of our environment when it's packed full of people or when it's completely empty. Our environment has impact upon us. And other people are part of our environment. And so then when we have our alone thoughts, when we're alone with our thoughts just before we go to bed or as we wake up in the morning, it's almost like we get a download of information as soon as we wake up about the day ahead and what happened yesterday. And in that review, the review of the past and the projection into the future, that's today as we wake up, comes that reframing, which can be positive or negative. You know, we twist everything around to the positive, though our thoughts are linked to emotions. What we think does affect our state. And so knowing that to be true, we can plummet. Our mood can plummet like a stone, even if we're completely alone with our thoughts. Having a thought, knowing that it's linked to emotion, you can catch yourself in a negative state and have those anchors to bring yourself back up again and know what to do to lift your vibration, pull yourself out of the doldrums. Then that's just worth its weight in gold. I mean, as you know, I've stopped people committing suicide. You don't get bigger than that. You don't get bigger than that. And I'm not just talking in a therapeutic situation. I'm talking in normal, everyday conversation. That's the great thing about NLP. You use it in every aspect of life. You don't just go to an NLP practitioner and say, do something for me. Those people that learn this, they use it in every avenue of their life, because once you're introduced to something that works better than what you're doing at the moment, you cannot not do it. Your unconscious will just keep doing that improved state of being. It'll keep just adding on more and more positive things. And so it's about not being at the mercy of chance, not being at the mercy of your environment, not being at the mercy of waking up in a good mood, opening the door, the neighbour telling you off because you've parked your vehicle in the wrong place, and that's ruined your day for the rest of the day. You know, not being at that mercy of somebody else being able to pop your good mood. Also teaching others how to make you feel good. Now, this is a personal thing, Claire.
Really?
Yeah. Get ready. You put me on the spot. I'm going to get you back. So, I taught you everything I could know about NLP within the time frame that we had. And you, more than anyone on that course, took on board those principles and kept coming back, didn't you? You kept coming back. We kept pulling you back in, because you just loved it so much and you were actually putting things into practice. And then when I revisited the island, something happened in my life that made me plummet right the way back down. Right the way back down, one of the worst things that ever happened to me. And you bumped into me and you pulled me right back up again. You slapped me in the face, figuratively speaking, with my own NLP stuff. And you pulled me right out of the doldrums, didn't you? And thank goodness I taught you those principles, because you lifted me back up. And then I knew I'd taught you well.
Yeah, you did a good job. A pat in the back on that one as well. Trumpet. But it's true, isn't it? I think also when you're around people who are positive, who think positive, who behave in a positive way, everybody follows. It just breeds it, isn't it? You know, you want to be around people who are shiny and sunshine and, you know, are thinking about what a solution focus rather than always looking at the negative. This is what it really drains you, and then you can't be around that. And I think a lot of that, you know, some of the techniques are really helping to be like that, to think like that, to really kind of get in that state. What state do you want to live? Do you want to be living in a happy state, or do you want to be a mood hoover and a moaner for the rest of your life? Well, that's fine. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But, you know, for those who do want to be happy, there are things that they can do to actually get to that point when you can. And I mean, also, you know, we're all human. We all have our really up times and we have our low times. And, you know, whatever technique we've learned, I've gone through that as well, Jennie, a few months ago. I think you were pulling me back up, you know, with, you know, some of my reframing in my head and, you know, things that I was telling myself. And I knew the stuff, you know, but you're still human and you're still questioning those kind of things. So being able to do it regularly, being able to be around a community who does it. And like you said, you know, it is a community. All the people that you've trained, all the people that are around follow you. You've got a group, you've got, you know, people, they can ask questions, they continue learning, and you continue learning all the time, don't you? Because that's what it is. It's really the learning of the study of excellence, isn't it? NLP.
Yes. I mean, for some time, the mental health industry were always looking at how the mind went wrong. What can we learn from people who are suffering? And then NLP came along and turned it on its head. They studied Virginia Satir, who's a family therapist. They studied Milton Erickson, who was just a fabulous psychiatrist. And they put all these things, and Fritz Perls, a Gestalt therapist, and they put the best of all these ideas together. And I would love everybody to learn hypnotherapy and hypnosis. I mean, that really was a big reframe for me. Though before I went on the course, I understand people watching this video will be saying, oh, I'm not sure I want any of that. Though NLP helps you more, because NLP is the best of all the hypnotic interventions. It's born of hypnosis, and hypnosis is as old as the hills. And it really helps you catch those thoughts, know how you're speaking to yourself, how you're speaking to others. And as we've said, we can almost teach other people how to make us feel good. Wouldn't that be great? You know, that you're able to, with your close family members and with your friends, kind of indicate to them, I know from time to time I'm not going to be full of love, light and happiness. When I'm not, could you please remind me to go and watch that comedy? Or if you just say this to me, that's exactly what to do to get me back on track. And I love this family dynamic and friends dynamic, Claire, where you've got a really good friend who won't join you in the hole. You know, sometimes we go down that rabbit hole, reflecting on the past or worrying about the future, and a really good friend, they might join us for a moment in the hole. Yeah, you're right, it's terrible, isn't it? Oh, it's awful, isn't it? Anyway, blah, 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 blah. And they have that ability to bring us back up again. And there's also those people, I hesitate to say, because you started this.
Yeah.
There are these people, and people are not their behaviours, but they could, if they exhibit the same behaviour repeatedly, and you know who those people are, and you know that you often avoid them, that's because they feel better. It's their way of being. They feel better by dumping all their bad mood on you. And knowing that they somehow enjoy that, you know, I think before learning NLP, I used to take things quite literally. And if somebody said how bad the world was, etc., I would sympathise with them and start to feel as bad as I thought they felt. And then they'd go on their merry way, quite happy. And I was the one left in the bad mood. It was kind of that energy exchange. Well, I'm all right now. Thank you. Bye. And I go, oh, I hadn't realised just how bad the world was.
So all that amazing good stuff, Jennie. I mean, you and I, well, I've been very lucky because, you know, I've had the chance to meet you personally, and we've had the chance to do that training together for the whole week together. But not everybody's got the same luck as me to be able to meet you. So how can somebody actually learn more about NLP with you?
Wow. You're making me blush. No, you're making me blush. I've been doing it for a long time, and I got to the stage where I want to reach more people. I kind of, as you know, semi-retired at 50. Yes, I am that old. I kind of thought, well, that's it. I've written all the books. I've taught all the courses. I'm just going to sit on a beach for a while. And I did that for quite a long time. Then I started to realise, actually, I'd like to do things a little differently. I'd like to be able to create something personal, something that's interactive, some way of reaching far more people. And we were getting lots of inquiries from different places in the world. We were going to go to Tokyo, we're going to go to Sydney, we're going to go to Monaco, but all these places lined up. And then, of course, what happened? We get restrictions on
there was a little bug. A little bug bugged it all up.
Yeah. Do you know, like blooming War of the Worlds, isn't it? You know, the story that it's the tiniest things in life that seem to cause the most trouble. The bacteria.
Yeah. Have you ever bumped your little toe on somewhere? Have you ever bumped your little toe on something? This is so painful. Those are the little things who makes the things really hard.
Or a paper cut.
Oh, a paper cut.
Worse than a paper cut.
Yeah.
Especially when you get a bit of vinegar on there. Oh. Yes. Of course, there are worse things than a paper cut. But yes. What do we say? Nothing worse, is there? Oh. Yeah. So, of course, by having my wings clipped, and not then going to these. But I'm glad I got Milan in first. So I've got lots of people in Italy, as you know, I'm connected to, which is wonderful. Though I thought that was the end. I thought that was the end of my association in different places. But of course, then what happens? This communication that we thought was very unusual, and only out of necessity would we really do this. We'd rather be in person with each other. All of a sudden, this became the norm. All of a sudden, we could have kind of better communication with each other, because we are framed in a box. We're not going to nip off and do something, be distracted with lunch. The intensity and the value, the information that you can get through by being basically on television. I'm a TV star.
Absolutely, TV star. Yes, absolutely.
With your encouragement, thank you so much. We have structured these videos. You can watch me on telly. You can fill in worksheets, workbooks, have an ebook, etc. You can chart your progress and, excuse me, turn me on whenever you want me and turn me off when you've had enough.
So,
online course.
So all that because of technology and how we actually were able to put you in a box on a website and actually created a full week, well, it's 4 days, isn't it, of NLP with 20 videos. I haven't even counted how many hours of videos you've got in there. And so because it's just so powerful, and to be able to touch and to be able to help so many more people around the world, this was just such a powerful way to kind of bring our two things together. And I'm going to give her a shake. Give me a handshake. Come on. And a partner together, so we could actually bring your technique, your expertise, that's easier, into one area where you actually are able to train people and actually give them those tools that we just talked about, and do it, like you said, just whenever they can, however they can, how quick they can. But there's the online course, so that's what we're talking about, isn't it? A new certified NLP practitioner online course. So what does a certified NLP means?
Well, this is big, Claire. This is big. Because, as you know I've had a little blow of my trumpet this morning, but I'm usually not that good. It's other people that blow it for me, as you do. And also, knowing all this NLP stuff, know your strengths, know your values, and also know where you might need a little bit of help. And so I am not always that structured, and you are. And so by you structuring or encouraging me to structure these videos and the books, etc., it's been invaluable. So what was happening, as I said, just before I was going to do a big in-person course, we had this situation where we were all confined and unable to do things in person. So this is huge. Listen up. This really is important. There's lots of courses out there.
I'm listening.
There's lots of people doing NLP. There's lots of people doing stuff on the internet, and it's all very interesting, and everything has value. Everything has value. And if you're introduced to something, you've got the opportunity to engage with it or not. Turn the TV off, if you like, or YouTube off. However, a lot of this information, a lot of these courses that you might spend your time looking at and investing money in, they're not accredited. And so when I realized that I'm not going to be able to do these things in person, as a senior of the General Hypnotherapy Standards Council, I turned around to them and had some in-depth discussions with them saying, look, we don't know how long this is going to go on for. And as people are talking now, it might be the new normal. We need to put something in place rather than waiting for everything to be restored back to normal. And because I was already seeing clients through the internet with Skype and Zoom, etc., if I can do that, if I can, within an hour, speak to somebody over the other side of the world and undo their limiting beliefs, and create with their willingness a new behavior so that they stop smoking, so that they lose weight, so that they don't have a phobia. I've had some very strange phobias all over the world. It's lizards, I'm told, in certain parts of the world, and in other parts of the world it's very big insects. So I've been exposed to all these different phobias, and I address them through the internet. So how come you don't allow me to teach through the internet, that it's got to be in person? Because actually it can be more intimate, because the person, the group, the class, they're totally focused on me as I speak. They're not distracted by all these things going on. Anyway, they had a good think about it, and because I've been doing it for a long time, they actually said, yes, you're right, Jennie. Let's do it this way. Now, I don't know how long that will be in place. Maybe when things go back to normal, we'll have to do it in person again. But at this moment in time, it's fully accredited online, which means you'll be doing the NLP module of the diploma in clinical hypnotherapy and NLP. Doing the NLP side of things is the most useful to you in your everyday life and your work, your personal life, your business life, every aspect of life, including, as we've said, your relationship with yourself. So to me, it's an amazing opportunity to do this accredited NLP module and to benefit from having the certification to be a certified practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, not by an American institution. I love my American friends, thank you very much. So this is a British institution that is worldwide.
Recognized.
Worldwide recognized. And so therefore you have an accreditation with a UK-based worldwide organisation that is very strict on their standards. And from a legal perspective, I'm really in rapport with that. I want people to be trained properly and to know all there is to know about the underpinning science as well as this, so that if you are asked at that dinner party, who were you trained by? Then you can say with authority, the General Hypnotherapy Standards Council, because NLP is derived from hypnotherapy. So I hope that answers your question. I do go on a bit.
Yeah, no, you've gone on a bit, but I was just about to stop you there, and so that's fine. You got my message. I won't let. But there's also, so that means that they are certified. They're becoming certified practitioner if they're doing your course. That's good for them. That's good for their friends. But that's that good they can actually consult.
Oh, yes. That they be a certified practitioner of NLP. So these techniques you can then do as a job.
Right.
You can open your own practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
So you could actually say, okay, you've loved it just as much as I've loved it, just as much as Jennie loved it, and actually decide that that's what you want to do next. And you just pack your job because, let's just bring a lot of faith into it. And you could actually start being yourself a practitioner of NLP and helping other people as a consultant of NLP.
Like I say, try not to do it. Once you know these techniques and you've got somebody in your association, in your home, that is suffering with something, automatically you'll go into these techniques. You won't be saying, okay, step one, do this. So you will automatically know how to help them rather than just sympathise with them. And I think, Claire, that's how it starts, doesn't it? It starts on a personal level, because maybe you never thought that you'd be doing it professionally, though I know that you are. It does come into it all. So to begin with, it's about the effect it has on us and our close family members. And I think then we think, and it happens within days, oh, if I can do this with this person, then I can do it with that person. And it's valuable. And other people in your friend zone seem to then recognise that you're qualified now in doing these wonderful things, and they'd like you to do it for them. And that maybe you're a bit apprehensive to start with about charging money, but you know, it's the most valuable thing you can do for people. And they want, oh, this is really interesting. I think they're so grateful. They've been suffering with this thing for 40 years. Of course they're happy to pay you for your time, for your effort, for your investment in your qualification. And then it puts it on a business footing, you know?
Well,
when you know you can do it.
Yeah, this is it. I think, you know, that this is the difference between actually using it and setting up your own business as an NLP practitioner. For me, it's always been about, I'd seen other trainers and other coaches using techniques in it. And I was really intrigued into it. And I thought, oh, well, I could add this into a bit of training. Can I add this into a bit of this? And actually, when I wrote a blog this morning about, how I'm using it, and actually NLP, I use it pretty much all the time now, whether it's coaching, whether it's consulting, whether it's looking at culture, environment, people, the culture of the business, whether I'm looking at the training, when I'm training people, whether they trying to complaint handling or building rapport and networking things, I'm using it for that. I'm using it for speaking. I'm using the technique to, when I'm on a keynote speaker and I'm on stage, I've learned those techniques, how to connect with the audience, how to really kind of get that, be aware of their emotions, when they start moving, looking at the non-verbal expressions and all those kind of things. So you realize that actually you're using it all the time. You're really using it all the time. So not as a consultant myself, but as everything that I do has a bit of it in it.
Yes, absolutely. Everything that you do will be improved by this knowledge. And that's an amazing thing to say. And what course can you go on and say that about? It's because it is life. We just peg certain aspects of life onto this NLP framework. And certainly you can use it in a therapeutic sense, but you can also use it, as you say, to boost yourself up before you go on stage, to calm yourself down if you've got into a stressful situation. And once you do it for yourself, you want to do it for others.
Yeah.
You really do. And it becomes a total focus. And I think if you'd have perhaps given it conscious thought, a lot of conscious thought before you helped me in that situation I described, you might have backtracked a little bit. But in that red hot moment of you recognizing, oh, Jennie needs help, I'll do this, and recognizing then that you helped the master, How did you? You employed those techniques. Yeah, absolutely. You employed those techniques. They worked. Jennie, you've written books on this stuff. It's knowing that we, like you say, Claire, we're all human and we all have our moods and we have things that happen to us and we focus our attention perhaps in a negative way occasionally. It's how we recover. It's how we bounce back. It's how we utilize every aspect of our being and enhance it so we can go on stage, so we can deal with our children better, so that our relationships are better for it. It's just amazing when we take the time to recognize how we can be our best possible self and project that into the future. Do you know, they say 95% of the thoughts we have today, we will have tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know where they get these ideas from because they didn't ask me.
I thought you were going to say 95% of our thoughts are subconscious.
Well, that may be so.
I thought that was it. I thought I saw a figure something.
I know a lot of our behaviour is, and I'm going to have to look it up. I do know that a lot of our behaviour is automatic, and then we put conscious meaning to it. And that's even true, It's true when we pull our hand away from something hot or tickly, etc. It's also true that those knee-jerk reactions when we're in a heated discussion with somebody. And knowing this stuff, you're less likely to have to say, I didn't mean it, I'm sorry. Because in that moment, you're more measured. You recognize that quite often somebody else is behaving in a certain way because they're stressed. They don't have the skills that you have. And so, therefore, you get that little gap, that little space to recognize they don't mean what they say. So I'm not going to retaliate back with my knee-jerk reaction anymore. It has this ripple effect. And that's true in the workplace as well, you know?
Well, I think if people want to know more, I think they should actually go and check it out themselves. So my mission has always been to help businesses and help people to thrive in their life, in their businesses. So, they can deliver exceptional customer experiences. And that's always been, like since I started my business 11 years ago, that's always been my mission. And now I'm learning all those techniques who can bring that into it. And so I'd created a platform, a learning and development platform, which is called bqbcxinstitute.org. And that is what it's all about. It's a CX Customer Experience Institute, where not just only there's training on customer service, but there's also things like NLP certified and all those trainings that you can actually learn. And this is where you will find Jennie's new online course. And this is where you'll be able to really kind of transform yourself, just as I did 3 years ago when I met Jennie. And so you could be in China, or you could be in Canada, or you could be in Manchester. You will be able to access exactly the same training from Jennie. And who knows after that what your life will be like? Who knows?
And of course, you get contact with us. A lot of these online courses, you don't get contact with the people who are behind them. They're kind of auto-generated, and there's a lot of artificial intelligence out there, and a lot of it's really, really good. So if you're like me, you're like a real human being to bounce off. That doesn't sound right, actually.
I know what you mean.
It's nice to have that human contact and have a face,
yes.
A communication. I mean, being as this is all about communication, who wants to talk to a robot? We're going to have more online interactions with our students, aren't we, Claire?
Yeah.
That's what you kind of said. We can have question and answer sessions, and this is all very exciting to us because it's new, and accredited. Wonderful. I'm very excited about it all, very much.
Well, I'm so excited, and I'm really really happy that we decided to do that partnership. And actually, am I going too fast in saying there may be something else we may be doing in a few weeks' times when we're recovered from that, launching that one? We may go to stage 2. So just start stage 1, and you never know what could come in the next few weeks as well. That's all I'm saying.
It's all happening. It's all happening behind the scenes. It's amazing, isn't it, Claire? I mean, we're not going to give anything away, but all these coincidences that have happened, it just seems the universe wants us to get up there on stage together and to lift people. Oh, have I said too much?
Well, this is just super. I really have loved my week with you, Jennie. It's been amazing just to refresh some of the stories and some of those techniques as well. That's what it's about as well, that community of having people who are passionate about the same thing. And so you can you bounce off each other, don't you? That is really the only word that you can say. And then if you want to know more details, Jennie will put the link under the video. I'll put the link under my videos as well on YouTube. So if you want to rewatch that, it's on Jennie's YouTube channel or mine. Come and rewatch it. Click on the link. Go on bqbcxinstitute.org and look for the NLP certified. You can't miss it. There's a big head, big like that, with all different kind of colors. So you click on that, and then you can just read it all and see if that's for you. If you think that you're thinking those two girls, they seem to know what they're talking about. That seems intriguing. Let's do it.
When you said click on the big head, I thought you meant my head then. I was like, oh no, the talking head videos. But,
not quite.
It's the hair. It's making my head look a lot bigger than it is usually.
It's very nice. It's very nice. Well, I think that's all for today. Thank you very much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you in the group, in the community, really getting you started on that NLP journey. And it's just amazing.
If I